The banking app glowed in the dark car. $0.00. My fingers dug into the leather steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. The $28,000 I scraped together for my father's heart surgery was gone. Not pending. Gone. My phone buzzed against my palm. A text from my sister, Serena, lit up the screen. Dad is fine with his medication for now. I need this exclusive Bali retreat for my brand sponsorships. You are single. Just pick up a few extra night shifts. Do not be dramatic. The smell of heavy bleach from my 14-hour emergency room shift still clung to my scrubs. My stomach twisted into a hard, cold knot. I threw my phone onto the passenger seat, slammed the car into drive, and headed straight for my parents' house. My name is Nicole. I am 32 years old. And for the last 5 years, my entire existence has been a blur of 12-hour emergency room shifts, cold coffee, and saving every extra penny. That medical fund was my father's lifeline, but Serena cared nothing about lifelines. Her world was a carefully curated lie. To her followers, she was a high-frequency wellness influencer. To me, she was a parasite drowning in $40,000 of secret credit card debt. This exclusive Bali retreat was a desperate grab for a luxury sponsorship. If she missed that flight, her fake empire would crumble, and her husband Gary would finally realize she had bankrupted them. I shoved my parents' front door open. The living room smelled like expensive vanilla candles. Serena was sprawled on the velvet couch, casually scrolling through first-class flight upgrades. Gary sat next to her, sipping a craft beer. My parents were sitting right across from them, drinking tea like it was a normal Tuesday morning. My father refused to meet my eyes. He stared at the rug and muttered that he gave Serena the password. He claimed she needed capital for her brand. My mother set her teacup down with a sharp clink. Your sister is mentally fragile right now, Nicole, she snapped. Consider this an advance on taking care of us. You have no mortgage and no kids. Stop being so selfish. The air in the room grew so thin my lungs burned. For years, I gave up vacations, relationships, and sleep to keep this family afloat. They looked at me and saw nothing but a walking bank account. I swallowed the burning acid in my throat. I forced the muscles in my face to relax. I curved my lips into a smooth, practiced smile. You are right, Mom, I said quietly. I turned my attention to Serena. International wire transfers can be tricky. Let me help you finalize it. The bank's VIP lounge smelled of polished leather and espresso. Serena sat across from me, her designer heel tapping a frantic rhythm against the marble floor. She checked her gold watch for the third time in 10 minutes. Her flight to Bali was in 48 hours. She needed that money cleared. Her desperation suffocated the room. I slid an iced water across the glass table toward her. I kept my voice perfectly flat. The $28,000 triggered an anti-money laundering hold. International wire transfers over 10 grand require secondary authorization. The fraud department just emailed Dad a secure DocuSign link to release the funds. Serena rolled her eyes. Her manicured nails drummed against the glass. She grabbed her phone from her purse. She already had our father's email password saved. She always did. This is ridiculous, she muttered, tapping the screen aggressively. I will just sign it for him right now. He barely knows how to open an email anyway. I leaned back into the sofa. I took a slow sip of my water. The cell service in here is terrible, I said casually. Connect to the bank's public Wi-Fi. It loads much faster. She kept her eyes glued to her screen. She joined the network, opened the federal banking link, and lazily traced our father's name across her display. Done, she sighed, tossing the phone onto the table. Now can we please wrap this up? I have a packing fitting at 2. She smiled at me. She thought she had outsmarted the system. She thought she was untouchable. She forgot I triage critical emergencies for a living. I know exactly how to document a crisis. By connecting to the bank's secure network and using her personal device, she handed the federal government her exact IP address and device ID. That simple digital signature was not a family favor. It was airtight, undeniable proof of federal bank fraud and identity theft. I smiled back at her. The trap was locked. Serena leaned back and crossed her legs. She picked up her complimentary flute of champagne. Gary raised his glass to clink against hers. They were already celebrating their luxury escape, toasting to a future bought with my sweat. The door swung open. It was not the concierge bringing their confirmed itinerary. 3 men in dark suits stepped into the room. The bank manager trailed closely behind them, his face completely drained of color. The lead agent bypassed the glass table and walked straight toward the sofa. Serena? He asked. His voice left no room for discussion. Serena lowered her champagne. The smug, untouchable grin slid right off her face. Yes? Who are you? Federal Bureau of Investigation. You are under arrest for federal bank fraud and identity theft. The glass slipped from Serena's fingers. It shattered against the floor, spraying champagne across her designer shoes. She scrambled backward against the cushions. Her breathing turned rapid and panicked. Sweat beaded instantly on her forehead. The blood rushed out of her cheeks, leaving her skin a sickly, chalky white. "Wait. No," she stammered. Her voice cracked into a high-pitched whine. "This is a misunderstanding. That is my father's account. I am authorized. We have the digital footprint of the forged transmission from your personal device," the second agent stated. He pulled a pair of steel handcuffs from his belt. "Stand up, please." Gary jumped up from the sofa. He did not step in front of his wife. He did not demand a lawyer. He backed away, pressing his spine against the far wall. He held his hands up in immediate surrender, his eyes wide with cowardice. He looked at Serena like she was a stranger holding a live grenade. The agents grabbed her arms and pulled her to her feet. The metal cuffs clicked shut around her wrists. The sharp, mechanical snap cut through the silence. She locked eyes with me. Pure, unadulterated terror stared back. The great wellness influencer fell apart right in front of me. She spent years confusing the ability to steal other people's money with actual personal superiority. She truly believed her expensive clothes and luxury retreats made her better, smarter, and more valuable than the rest of us. But power built on a stolen credit limit is just a delusion. Take away the $28,000, take away the fraudulent access, and the illusion completely shatters. There was no high-frequency energy left. There was no enlightened guru. Stripped of my father's wallet, Serena was nothing more than a desperate, pathetic parasite facing a federal prison sentence. "Nicole, tell them," she screamed, thrashing against the agent's grip as they dragged her toward the lobby. "Tell them, it is family money." I picked up my iced water. I took a slow, deliberate sip. "Family ties do not make wire fraud legal, Serena. My parents put their 3-bedroom house up as collateral to bail her out. They mortgaged their entire future to save a criminal." 48 hours later, my hospital badge flashed red at the staff entrance. It stopped scanning. 2 security guards escorted me to a sterile, windowless human resources office. The director slid a piece of paper across the desk. Someone filed an anonymous tip to the state medical board. The accusation was a career death sentence. Stealing fentanyl from the emergency room. That specific claim triggered an automatic mandatory Pyxis machine audit. I was suspended immediately, stripped of my credentials, and walked out the front doors like a thief. Serena wanted to break me. She wanted me to feel the exact same helpless panic she felt when those handcuffs clicked shut. She broke me years ago when I was a naive kid begging for a family's love. Today, I am the one holding the hammer. I was driving down the interstate when my car's Bluetooth display lit up. Serena's number. I tapped accept. Her voice flooded the cabin, dripping with arrogant triumph. "How was work today, Nicole?" "Oh, wait. You do not have a job anymore." I kept my hands perfectly still on the leather steering wheel. Above my rearview mirror, my dashcam let out a soft beep. The little red recording light blinked steadily. "Drop the federal charges right now," she sneered, the venom clear in her throat. "Or I will make sure the nursing board permanently revokes your license. I will tell them you were selling it on the street. In my state, secretly recording a phone call is a crime. But if you announce the recording, and the other person keeps talking, it becomes legally admissible consent." I spoke slowly and clearly into the microphone. "I am driving, Serena. My dashcam is actively recording this audio. Stop threatening me." Silence hung on the line for exactly 2 seconds. Then, her pure, unfiltered narcissism took over. She thought she held all the power. "I do not care who hears it," she screamed, her voice echoing off my windshield. "You ruined my life over some stupid medical fund. You drop the lawsuit, or I will destroy your entire career. You are nothing without that hospital." I smiled. A cold, quiet smile. "Thank you, Serena," I said. I tapped the screen and ended the call. She thought she was orchestrating my downfall. Instead, she just handed the district attorney a flawless, legally binding confession for federal witness intimidation. I parked directly outside the district attorney's office. The small silver flash drive sat in the palm of my hand, carrying the exact weight of my sister's arrogance. I walked inside and handed it to the clerk. 72 hours later, the federal prosecutor formally added a witness intimidation charge to Serena's indictment. The fallout was instantaneous. Gary did not stand by his beloved wife. The very second the new felony hit the public record, his cowardice took the wheel. My phone lit up with a single, pathetic text message from him. "I am filing for divorce. Do not drag me into this." Neighbors watched him throw his expensive golf clubs into the trunk of his car and speed away, leaving Serena rotting in a county jail cell. My parents could not save her either. The government seized the stolen $28,000 as active criminal evidence. Without those funds to pay the aggressive bail bondsman, the agency initiated foreclosure proceedings on my parents' 3-bedroom house. They wagered their only sanctuary to protect a parasite, and the house always wins. On Tuesday morning, my phone rang. The hospital human resources director spoke with a practiced, sugary sweetness. She offered profound apologies for the suspension, confirming the medication audit cleared my name completely. She even dangled a lucrative promotion to shift charge nurse, expecting me to grovel in gratitude. I let her finish her corporate script. I do not work for institutions that question my integrity, I stated. I hung up the phone. By Friday afternoon, my apartment was completely empty. I signed a premium travel nursing contract 3 states away. I sat in the driver's seat of my packed car and opened my contacts list. I selected my father's name and hit block. I selected my mother's name and hit block. I tossed the phone onto the passenger seat, shifted into drive, and merged onto the open highway. No guilt. No apologies. Just the hum of the engine and the open road. The gavel struck the heavy wooden block, and the sound echoed through the federal courtroom. The judge sentenced Serena to 6 years in federal prison with eligibility for parole after 4 years. The court also ordered restitution of $42,000, covering the stolen medical fund and federal fines. Gary's divorce was finalized a month later, leaving Serena completely isolated. Back in my hometown, the fallout was absolute. The local church group, the neighbors, and the hospital staff found out about the wire fraud and the fake medication theft tip. My parents tried to show their faces at the Sunday service, but the congregation practically turned their backs. The bank foreclosed on their 3-bedroom house just before Thanksgiving. The false wellness empire Serena built crumbled into dust. 7 months after the trial, a thick envelope arrived at my new apartment in Colorado. The return address belonged to a county correctional facility. Serena wrote 9 pages. I saw the first few lines through the translucent paper. She claimed she was still my sister, that she did it all for the family, and that I owed her forgiveness. A year ago, a letter like that would have kept me awake for days, twisting my stomach into knots of guilt. Now, I felt absolutely nothing. I carried the unopened envelope to my home office and fed it straight into the paper shredder. The mechanical whirring sound was incredibly satisfying. I walked out to my balcony. The mountain air was crisp and clean. My friend Sarah stepped outside, handing me a mug of hot coffee. We were hosting a small dinner party for my new coworkers and neighbors. For the first time in my life, I was surrounded by a chosen family. These were people who respected my boundaries, who asked about my day, and who never expected me to finance their delusions. The chaos of my past felt like a lifetime away. When you grow up in a toxic environment, abusers use the concept of family as a cage. They assign you the role of the strong one, or the responsible one. They groom you to believe your only value is what you can provide for them. But breaking free taught me 3 vital rules about survival. First, blood does not make you family. Unwavering loyalty and mutual respect do. Biological accidents do not obligate you to endure abuse. Second, a true narcissist will never experience a sudden awakening and apologize. They will never stop taking until you build a concrete wall and force their hand with uncompromising legal boundaries. Third, and most importantly, the ultimate peace is found when you finally stop trying to save people who are actively holding your head underwater. I am Nicole, and I am finally free. So let me ask you a question. How much of your own life are you setting on fire just to keep a toxic bloodline warm? How many tears have you shed for people who only view you as a resource? If your sacrifice only buys their entitlement, maybe it is time to pack your bags and walk away. You deserve to heal. Tell me your story in the comments. Wow. Take a deep breath. I know exactly what you are screaming at the screen right now. You are sitting there thinking, why on earth did Nicole drive over to her parents' house instead of just calling the police the second she saw $0 in her account? Why did she smile and agree to help the sister who just robbed her blind? It is so easy to judge when you are watching from the outside. But let us break down the psychology of what actually happened here. Nicole was not stupid. And she was not weak. She was trapped in something psychologists call the slot machine effect, also known as intermittent reinforcement. Think about it. If a slot machine just took your money and never paid out, you would walk away after 5 minutes. But toxic families do not work like that. Every once in a while, they give you a crumb of approval, a rare compliment, a fake smile, a fleeting moment where you feel like the good daughter who finally belongs. That tiny payout keeps you pulling the lever, year after year, sacrificing your own life, your own savings, and your own sanity, hoping for the jackpot of genuine love that is never going to come. But Nicole finally stopped pulling the lever. She woke up, and she executed an absolute masterclass in financial self-defense. Let us look at the street-smart moves she made, so you can protect yourself if you ever face this nightmare. First, the audit strategy. Scammers, especially the ones you share DNA with. Hate details. They rely on guilt and emotional chaos to get what they want. Serena thought she was entitled to that $28,000 because of family privilege. Nicole did not argue emotionally. She weaponized the banking system. By guiding Serena to use the public Wi-Fi and sign the federal document herself, Nicole trapped her sister in a digital audit trail. The lesson here? When money is on the line, stop yelling and start documenting. Let the IP addresses and the transaction logs do the talking. Second, building the case. When Serena called to extort her, Nicole did not scream back. She stated clearly that she was recording the call, instantly fulfilling the legal consent laws for her state. She let Serena's own arrogance build a federal witness intimidation case. Never interrupt an abuser when they are handing you the evidence. Finally, the buyout. Nicole walked away, and she did not look back. Sometimes, the cost of admission to a peaceful life is leaving a toxic system entirely. She invested in her own freedom by packing up and moving on, rather than staying to fight a never-ending war with people committed to misunderstanding her. Here is the final verdict. Blood might make you relatives, but it does not give anyone a free pass to drain your bank account and your soul. Financial abuse is still abuse, even if it happens right in your parents' living room. If you are the designated ATM for a family of parasites, it is time to permanently close the bank. You cannot heal in the exact same environment that is making you sick. Have you ever had to cut off a toxic relative to save your own future?